So we're back. If you were trying to check out my live earlier, I was having a little technical difficulties and also just running late on a hold. So I do apologize for that. That will be scheduled. Hopefully, I'll be able to do it later on, but I'll send out a notification, when I'm able to make that up. So I want to apologize for that. It is your favorite therapist, Lily Duvee. I hope everyone is having a great day today. Today, we're going to talk about some cognitive distortions. Before we get into the cognitive distortions, I just want to get a little house housekeeping out the way. So, first of all, if you look on the bottom, you will see my website, devalierconsultingservices.com. If you wanted to book a session, therapeutic session, right? Um, it's an hour long. You could go and look on the website, get more information. And also, I do offer a 30-minute free consultation just to see, we would be a good fit, first of all. And just to get to know each other a little better. 30 minutes, it won't cost anything. So if you wanted to just talk a little bit before moving forward with the whole process, that's that's fine as well. So, like I said, this is my website on the bottom. I am located in Florida. So if you were seeking services, you would need to be in Florida. However, if you were looking for advice and not necessarily counseling or therapeutic services, I could talk to you. I could give you some advice, but I would not be able to set you up for therapy because my license is but based in Florida. All right, so now that I got that out the way, we will get started. So, how many people here have heard of cognitive distortions? So, if you caught any of my lives before on YouTube, well, not any of them, but specifically the one on cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, and it shows you the triangle. The cognitive distortions comes at the thought process of the CBT triangle. So it's going to be those distorted thoughts, automatic thoughts that cause you to feel bad and causes you to have negative behavior. So the cognitive distortions do come in at the thought process of the CBT. So it all kind of goes together. So today we're just going to be talking about some of the most common types of cognitive distortions. And also, I won't go into detail, about what can be done to treat them right because that's what I'm for. So if once we go through these cognitive distortions and and it sounds like maybe this could be you or one of your loved ones, please reach out to me to schedule an appointment and we can talk more about it. So, with that being said, let's go. Let's just get started. So, hold on. And I do apologize. I don't have music today. For some reason, my music will not come on. So I don't know what that's about. I'll figure it out later. But no music today. But life goes on, right? That's that CBT, thinking those positive thoughts so I can continue to have these positive emotions, right? And continue to have the positive behavior, which is bring you a quality show. So I will figure it out once the show is over. All right, so let me just share my screen. How's everyone doing today? I know right now I don't have many guests here, but hopefully that you are going back to catch the live. at least after I'm done. As time goes on, hopefully more people will join so that we can have this dialogue, so I can answer questions and you can ask your questions. But right now it's more I'm talking more because of course I'm trying to get my audience up. So I'm talking more than usual, but once we get an audience here, it'll be more like a question and answer type of thing, and I won't be doing all the talking. All right. So let's see. Okay, so we're gonna get started with our cognitive distortion. Okay, so headline, it is not my writing. It says, if you look over here to the right, it was medically reviewed by Timothy Legg, PhD, PsyD, written by Rebecca Joy Stamboro, MFA, on December the 18th, 2019. And um, this is, like I said, this is not my writing. I'm just providing education to the community for research purposes and just to provide more education. So, and you can see the disclaimer on my YouTube channel that this is not my work. I'm just providing information on this subject. All right, so it says, what are cognitive distortions and how can you change these thinking patterns? So, like I said, we will go through what cognitive distortions are, but not necessarily how you can change them, because that would be a task between you and your therapist, right? So, we don't really want to get much into that, but more so um, giving you a definition on what it is, so that you can see if maybe you have this type of thinking, and then from there you would know, okay, I need to talk to someone about this so it can be resolved, so I can live my best life possible, right? So best life, I know, we like to talk about that a lot these days, but best life, yes, it does include living nice, um being spiritually connected, in my opinion, to the Most High, Jesus Christ Himself, and also you have to, like, it's a whole adventure. So you can't have one side of the needs met, right? And then just say, for example, the mental health needs are not being met, right? So we're trying to live the best versions of ourselves today, right? So and just keep in mind, these cognitive distortions are automatic negative thinking. So not necessarily that you would be able to change this on your own, or that you even know it's happening, right? So, but let me just get started so you can see what the parents. Okay, so I'm just gonna read a few things right here. It says, I have the worst luck in the entire world. I just failed that math test. I'm no good at school and I might as well quit. She's late. It's raining. She has hydroplaned and her car is upside down in a ditch. These are all prime examples of cognitive distortions. And what cognitive distortions are, is a thought pattern that causes people to view reality in inaccurate ways, right? And usually not only is it inaccurate, it's also negative, right? So before I go any further, let's just back up a little bit more about the CBT triangle, which I just mentioned. Um, it tells us that if we are thinking these negative thoughts, right, we're gonna have negative emotions and also negative behavior, right? So this is exactly what these cognitive distortions are doing. It's causing you to have a negative thought pattern, and it's usually negative. So of course, at the end of the day, it's gonna display a negative type of behavior. Now, what that behavior is, you can answer it for yourself, because a behavior is able to be measured. So how you know you were having that behavior, or how you know it was connected to your thought process is that someone else would be able to measure that, right? So for example, she was thinking she was going to fail the test. It caused her to become anxious, which is the emotion aspect of it, right? So the behavior would be, since she's anxious, she made a 70 on the test. So that is measurable. You can actually see that she made a 70 on the test. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. In short, there are habitual errors in thinking. When you're experiencing a cognitive distortion, the way you interpret events is usually negatively biased. So basically, when you are having these cognitive distortions, you're automatically looking at the world or looking at events or looking out your eyes, period, in a negative light. That's just going to automatically happen. You're not operating from a positive standpoint. It's going to be negative, right? So it says most people experience cognitive distortions from time to time. So it is kind of normal because it will happen from time to time. We're not perfect. But if you're doing it over and over again, they can increase anxiety, right? Deepen depression. So not only just depression, we're talking about deepened depression here, cause relationship difficulties, and also lead to a host of other complications. So as we get deeper into this, you're starting to see that these cognitive distortions, they could be quite serious, right? They can cause depression, anxiety, relationship difficulties. It's serious. It's not, something to say, oh, okay, well, this is the way I'm thinking. It'll be okay. No, it comes with its consequences. Okay. So next we're gonna say, sorry, all these commercials on here. Okay. Where do they come from? Its research suggests that people develop cognitive distortions as a way of coping with adverse life events. So, adverse is something that you just wasn't expecting to happen, right? Or something that happened out the blue, something. So, one of those things that you would have said, oh, I cannot believe this is happening to me. That changes your thinking. Just give me 1 second. My pup is having a fit. Give me a second. Just give me a second. Okay, so I do apologize for that. My pup was barking, and even though they bark all the time, I still feel the need to go see what's going on. So, all right, so here we go. I'm gonna turn this one off. I'll just leave it on. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's go back. So it says, where do they come from? So we did talk about adverse life events. The more prolonged and severe those adverse events are, the more likely it is that one or more cognitive. Let me just make sure my. Okay, I had to make sure my mic was on. So it says the more prolonged and severe those adverse events are, the more likely it is that one or more cognitive distortions will form. So that's another reason why it says it's pretty most humans are going to experience this from time to time, right? Because how many people had went through life, had totally nothing happened to them, and it's just been a perfect life. I know my hand is not raised. So um going back to where do they come from? It says cognitive distortion they develop as a way of coping with adverse life events. And the more prolonged and severe those adverse events are, the more likely it is one or more cognitive distortions will form. And like I mentioned earlier, adverse life events could be basically if you're saying to yourself, "Oh, I cannot believe this is happening to me. Why me?" If you're going through an event that causes you to say something like that, more than likely that is an adverse event. And of course, that is just one example. It could just be anything that's happening in your life that you just was not expecting, basically. Um, it says one early theory even suggests that human beings might have developed cognitive distortions as a kind of evolutionary survival method. In other words, stress could cause people to adapt their thinking in ways that are useful for their immediate survival. But these thoughts aren't rational or healthy long term. Okay. So it says, what are the different types of cognitive distortions? So I'm just going to give you a little, we learned all about this in school, but I'm just going to go into a little bit about some information about from psychiatrist Aaron Beck. We learned all about him in school, of course. He uh, he pioneered research on cognitive distortions and his development of a treatment method known as cognitive behavior therapy. So, as if you have checked out my page, you will see I have a whole video on cognitive behavior triangle. But the cognitive behavior triangle is it stems from uh this so the cognitive from this theory and yes, so it stems from the cognitive behavior theory, and then that's where the therapy comes from. I hope I didn't confuse you. I kind of confused myself, but basically, so cognitive behavior theory. In the 60s, Aaron Beck pioneered research on cognitive behavior therapy. Okay, since the psychiatrist Aaron Beck in the 60s has done this research on cognitive distortion. It has been at least 10 common distorted thinking patterns identified, and it's more than that. But right here, they're gonna list 10. Okay, so the first one we're gonna discuss is polarized thinking. So polarized thinking is also called black and white thinking or all or nothing thinking. So it occurs when people habitually think in extremes. So it says when you're convinced that you're either destined for success or doomed to failure, that the people in your life are either angelic or evil, you're probably engaging in polarized thinking. So basically, it's just from one extreme to the next. It's no in between. It's either this or it's that. It's no, okay, let's look at the middle ground here. Let's do some compromising. Let's do some reasoning. No. It's either black or it's white, like it states here. Um, it says that this kind of distortion is unrealistic and often unhelpful because most of the time reality exists somewhere between the two extremes. Okay, so if you're doing that black and white thinking, cut it out, or either come and see the valierconsultingservices.com and we can help you with that. Okay, so the next one is overgeneralization. So when people overgeneralize, they reach a conclusion about one event and then incorrectly apply that conclusion across the board. Okay, and I know this is a pretty common one as well. For example, you make a low score on one math test and then conclude that you're hopeless at math in general. You have a negative experience in one relationship and develop a belief that you aren't good at relationships at all. So basically, just because you made a low score on one math test, that does not doom you for failure for all math tests, right? That's unfair to yourself to even, look at life that way. And it doesn't have to be, a math test. It could be countless um issues that could fall under overgeneralization. But you have to this is another cognitive distortion that basically grabs hold of your thought process. You have to know just because you made one mistake or this didn't go right, that doesn't mean if you try it again that it won't work out on that attempt. I'll give you a great example because it's easy to happen. For example, when I was trying to go live today, right? I had a live scheduled at 2. For some reason, I woke up early this morning, super early, like maybe 6. My dogs love to wake me up. Anyway, I woke up early this morning, but it was Sunday, and I have been waking up all week very early because I do have clients that I see through the week. However, I made it a point not to see clients on Sunday. So Sunday is my sleeping in day. Okay, so we got that we got that settled. So I woke up early. I decided to close my eyes for a few minutes. My husband did not wake me up. So by the time I got up, it was maybe 1:56. So here I am. I'm scrambling trying to get the live started because the live starts at 2, and I scheduled it earlier in the week. So I'm not sure who was waiting for me to go live, but just the fact that I had to schedule, and I always try to keep on schedule, especially now that I'm a therapist, right? I want to try to always attend to my schedule. So it's 1:56. Okay. Haven't had any coffee, anything. It started rough. And not only that, my father, he's a reverend, so he has Sunday morning church that we attend virtually, right? So we usually do that around 12. So not only that, when I woke up at 1:56, I also noticed that I had missed church as well. So I'm like, okay, well, at least I can try to get one thing right. I can get on this live. So when I get on the live, my music won't work, right? I'm like, okay, I know what I can do. I'm just gonna have to postpone this, right? But where I'm going with this is I could, even though that first live, because I had two scheduled, right? I had one for 2 and I have this one. So I could have said, okay, this live did not go right at 2. I give up. I'm not gonna do the one at 3 because the one at 2 did not work. So why try again? Because the one at 2 did not work. That mean 3 is not gonna work either. And the rest of will not work as well, right? That's that overgeneralization, and you can see how it could cause you. Because if I was to take the scenario that the first one didn't work, apply it to this one, I wouldn't be live right now. So you have to be very careful with that. Overgeneralization has been associated with post-traumatic stress disorder and other anxiety disorders. Okay, here is my favorite word: catastrophizing. And this is a common well. I see a lot of clients with this particular cognitive distortion. It says this distorted type of thinking leads people to dread or assume the worst when faced with the unknown. When people catastrophize, ordinary worries can quickly escalate. For instance, an expected check doesn't arrive in the mail. A person who catastrophizes may begin to fear. It says where was I? A person who catastrophizes may begin to fear it will never arrive, and that as a consequence, it won't be possible to pay rent and the whole family will be evicted. You see how quickly that escalated? um, it's easy to dismiss catastrophizing as a hysterical overreaction. But people who have developed this cognitive distortion may have experienced repeated adverse events like chronic pain or childhood trauma so often that they fear the worst in many situations. So, as you can see here, there go the adverse events again. You remember first started, we talked about the adverse events that usually causes cognitive distortions. So it says, I'm just going back up a little more so I can just try to tie this together. It says research suggests that people develop cognitive distortions as a way of coping with adverse life events. So the more prolonged and severe those, what is this? The more prolonged and severe those adverse events are, the more likely it is that one or more cognitive distortions will form. So we're talking childhood trauma here. We're talking, let me just talking childhood trauma here. What else? Chronic pain. So just like adverse events that has lasted over time. So often that they fear the worst in many situations. And of course, who wants to live life that way? Who wants to wake up every day and fear the worst in life, right? Worst in many situations. There is help for this. You don't have to live that way. You do not have to. There is skills that you can learn through your therapist or with your therapist, because it's a journey, right, between you and the therapist. You will have to do the work, but the therapist will be there to support you. So if you have noticed yourself thinking this way, reach out to me, or if not me, because it's lots of therapists, if not me, reach out to someone to talk to so that you can begin to process this. Why are you thinking this way? What could have happened to make you feel this way and causing you to catastrophize? All right, so let's go to penalization. So it says one of the most common errors in thinking is taking things personally when they are not connected to or caused by you at all. So basically taking on something even though it was not directed at you or had nothing to do with you, but you just um choose to take it in. So it says you may be engaging in personalization when you blame yourself for circumstances that aren't your fault or are beyond your control. Another example is when you incorrectly assume that you have been intentionally excluded or targeted. Personalization has been associated with heightened anxiety and depression. So I know Facebook, well, not just Facebook, I'll say a majority of social media sites can cause us to be that way, right? Because Facebook is so general. Somebody can just put out any type of post. And if you're a person that that thinks in a way of have this type of thinking error, personalization, you could maybe think that the posts are for you, and it could cause you to have heightened anxiety and depression. Like, this is serious here. So if you're taking part in this type of negative thinking or thinking error, we're gonna call it thinking error. Please reach out. Please reach out. It's helpful that. Okay. So that's personalization. Um, the next we'll go into is going to be mind reading. Okay, so mind reading. Excuse me, I was sleeping under the fan last night. I sleep under the fan every night, but sometimes it's worse than other times. But okay, so mind reading. So when people assume they know what others are thinking, they're resorting to mind reading. It's I'm sorry, it can be hard to distinguish between mind reading and empathy, right? The ability to perceive and understand what others may be feeling. So they're saying it's definitely a difference between trying to read someone's mind and then showing empathy, which is basically the ability to perceive and understand what someone else may be going through. So it's going to tell you right here. It says to tell the difference between the two, it might be helpful to consider all the evidence, not just the evidence that confirms your suspicions or beliefs. You're going to want to consider all the evidence. At least one study has found that mind reading is more common among children than among adolescents or adults and is associated with anxiety. So basically, just trying to figure out what the other person is thinking. But hey, we, we cannot read minds. And one thing I also want to say while I'm on this topic is I know a lot of people think that, well, not necessarily in my profession, but a lot of times they say that they think a lot of times it's psychologists, right, or therapists. They think people think that this type of profession can read your mind, right? But no one can read your mind. No one knows your thoughts, right? I would never know your thoughts unless you share them with me. So I can see your behavior, right? But I cannot see your thoughts. If I if I'm saying that I know what you're thinking, it's basically just a guess, right? It's a guess because I no one can read anyone else's thoughts because that would fall up under this cognitive distortion, which is mind reading, and you're thinking that you are able to know what someone else is thinking, but that's is what's the word I'm trying to use to bring my point across. It's you can't do it. Okay, let's just leave it like that. It's unachievable. All right. So, and like it says here, children are among the most to to take part in this type of cognitive distortion, and it does. Uh, it has been associated with anxiety, so it can get pretty serious. And I'm not sure if you know anyone with anxiety or any children with anxiety. I know it sounds, because we have the little anxiety that makes us, what's the word I'm trying to use? Maybe if you have a big event coming up, or a big test if your child coming up. That little anxiety that causes us to study hard so that we don't feel it. Okay, that's a little anxiety. That's okay. But sometimes a lot of anxiety will come on, and that's not okay, because now it's affecting your daily functioning, right? And your daily functioning includes like your education, right? Your education if you're working, so your work life, and also your home life. So that's your daily functioning. So if this starts to affect any those arenas, now it's becoming serious, right? Because now it's affecting your productivity, it's affecting how you present yourself. So a little anxiety is okay, but once it starts to affect those three arenas, I think you might want to talk to someone. Preferably me, but hey, preferably your favorite therapist, Lily Duvet. All right. Okay, so next we're gonna go to mental filtering. Okay, so it says mental filtering. Another distorted thought pattern. Give me 1 second, please. Let me stop sharing this. Give me 1 second. Uh-oh. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm back. Let me just share my screen again. And we're almost done. I'm not gonna keep y'all here all day today. I gotta go get my nails done. Self care. Self care. Always get in that self care. Do not feel embarrassed or guilty for getting your self care. Self care. All right. So let me go back to sharing this. Um, so mental filtering. So it says another distorted thought pattern is the tendency to ignore positives and focus exclusively on negatives. Interpreting circumstances. Let me just make sure my mic is on. I'm traumatized by the last time I thought I was live and my mic was not on. So I'm always just making sure it's on. So mental filtering. So basically, you're just looking at the negatives. You don't ever look at when you do something correctly, or when somebody says something nice to you that you don't really pay attention to that. You just always listening when something negative goes on. So it says interpreting circumstances using a negative mental filter is not only inaccurate, it can worsen anxiety and depression symptoms. So it says researchers have found that having a negative perspective of yourself and your future can cause feelings of hopelessness, which is no surprise, right? These thoughts may become extreme enough to trigger suicidal thoughts. Okay, there go the S word. All right. So what I want to say about this is, and this happens a lot on social media. I see these stars do this time and time and time again. The superstars on Instagram, on Facebook, especially on Instagram, where you can't write all these long paragraphs and it's only a couple of sentences that you're able to write, right? And so the stars, the superstars, the famous people, whatever name you want to say. So you go on that page, they have so many I love yous. I want to meet you. You're doing great things. Just all the positivity just floating all around. You see it plain and clear. But here comes this one person. I don't like you. Your music stinks. Just start saying all type of negative things. Guess who's going to get the attention, right? It's going to be that negative person. Even though even though it's been thousands of comments about how that your music is good, that continue the great work, you're a great person. It's thousands of comments like that. But that one comment, right, that was negative, that is the one that the person is going to choose to focus on and make the person famous, right? Because now they're going to say that name. Like, so in other words, what the person with the negative comment, what they were trying to achieve, it kind of happened, right? Because if they were trying to achieve popularity, they got it, right? So it's like, but the famous person now, they have filtered out all of the positive, right? Filter out all the positive comments just to focus on one negative comment. So now this one negative comment has zapped all of their energy, right? And now they're just focusing on this one comment, that this one negative comment that this person that probably 9 out of 10 does not even know them personally has made, right? So you have to be real careful with that, especially on social media. Social media is a very dangerous tool if you don't know how to use it. Trust me, I'm a therapist, right? So just believe that I see all type of clients. Of course, I'm not going to go into any information. It's all private. But what I can say that social media, especially with our younger people, it really does harm. So maybe I'm talking to a parent right now. Please monitor your child's social media. And if they're just getting on social media, so for example, they were not able to get on social media before. Now they're getting older, so you're letting up a little bit, and you're allowing them to take part in social media, right? Please them. Monitor them, because it has a more profound effect than you realize, and I will say that. And more so, my people who are having this type of cognitive distortion, mental filtering, uh start looking at your positives. Look at your positives. I tell my clients, like I said, it's no personal information. I would tell you all the same. Just like you focus on when you do something incorrectly, or something that you don't like, and you make a big deal about it. So just like you do that, it would be unfair to yourself if you did not do the same or even more when you do something correctly, right? Or when you do something big or do something monumental. Congratulate yourself. Congratulate yourself. If you're focusing on when you do something bad, you need to do the same when you do something good, and even do it to a bigger do it even bigger, right? Pat yourself on the back. You don't want to fall into this type of cognitive distortion where you're only thinking about the bad things you do, but you're not giving yourself credit for the good things that's going on, because like it says right here, it can become very extreme and it can become very serious. And now you're coming to me so I can talk you down from these suicidal thoughts, right? So that's a very serious one. Just and it's an easy fix. Just start to congratulate yourself on it. It could be any little thing. So for example, if you usually sleep all day, but just say you usually sleep all day long, you don't do anything, you just stay in the bed. But just say tomorrow, you instead of sleeping all day, you got up, went outside, and took a walk. That's monumental. Because guess what? The previous days, you did not do that. You stay in bed all day. So it can even be something as small as that. Just say you usually don't cook dinner, right? But today you decided to get up and cook dinner and it was good. So that's praise yourself. It doesn't matter if it's big or small. Don't just don't just make your life um a don't just make your life a thing of where you just looking at everything negative about yourself, because if you don't praise yourself, no one else will. You have to put yourself out there. You have to know that you are doing good. You have to know that you are worthy and you deserve certain things, right? So that comes from congratulating yourself, always believing in yourself, right? So and not just always finding a negative about yourself. Love yourself, right? And I can help you with that if you need help or skills, tools to put in your toolbox to work on those type of things. My you see my website at the bottom. So serious one, because you see it can trigger suicidal thoughts and cause feelings of hopelessness, and we're not we're not to live life in that way, right? Life is short. We never know when it's going to end. My son passed away at the age of 20, right? So we never know when it's going to end. But so while we're here, we don't want to live in feelings of hopelessness and having a negative perspective of ourselves. And before I go any further, I just want to let you know that I was once here. I was once here. I'm not perfect. I probably have experienced at least most of these cognitive distortions, but um I will say that I'm on the other side now because I have my skills, I have my support system, I have, of course, my Jesus Christ above that always watches over me, loves me. I'm one of his favorites. Okay, so I have those skills now and those tools. But hey, if you are experiencing this, just reach out to me and we can talk about it. It's gonna be discounting the positive. So discounting the positive is similar to mental filters. Discounting the positive involves a negative bias in thinking. People who tend to discount the positive don't ignore or overlook something positive. Instead, they explain it away as a fluke or sheer luck. So instead of acknowledging that a good outcome is the result of skill, smart choices, or determination, they assume that it must be an accident or some type of an anomaly. So, for example, right, I graduated. Um, I have a graduate's degree. I have a master's, right? So if I was one of the people who discounted the positive, I would say, well, I received the master's degree, right? Because every semester I just luckily passed the test. I just luckily did my assignments. I just like it was all luck. It had nothing to do with me at all. It had nothing to do with my skills, right? So that's what it means when you're discounting the positive. Even though good things are happening in your life, but you're not you are not taking let me see. I want to break this down as best as I can. So good things are happening, but you don't say it's because of your skill or anything like that. You're basically saying it was luck or um or just a fluke. So you take away your skill, you take away the fact that you made you made smart choices along the way, and you take away your determination. So that's very intense, right? Because just for example, myself, I received I went to school late, okay? Well, what they assume late because let society tell it we're supposed to attend college, right? When we graduate from high school. But I did it opposite. I had my kids and then I went back to school. And I'll talk more about that at a later time. But so okay, so wi- I'm saying that to say this. I received 3 degrees back to back, associates, bachelor's, master's, and now I'm a therapist. So I'm a therapist now. Um, so this counter positive would basically say that I'm I'm where I'm at because it was just sure luck. So I made all A's and B's in my graduate program, right? Because it was sure luck. Because it had nothing to do with me. It was just luck. It all the degrees that I have, it was just sheer luck. So that's discounting the positive. That's just like taking all the taking everything away from yourself and just count it all as luck. No, certain. I mean, I don't believe in luck, but I guess if you lived that life that way, I guess a couple things could be chalked off to having just luck. Maybe if you played a lottery or something, maybe that could be considered luck. But I think if you're out here working hard for something you want and you take it and you're making those smart choices and you have that determination and also that skill set to get it, why would you chalk it all down to saying, okay, this was a fluke or sheer luck when you were putting in the work to get what you wanted to make this whatever it is come true make it happen, right? So please don't do that to yourself. Okay, so it says when people believe they have no control over their circumstances, it can reduce motivation and cultivate a sense of learned helplessness. Mm, mm-mm. And again, if you need more assistance with talking about this more, my right here in front of you. Okay, so we're gonna wrap. Like I said, I won't have y'all here for all day. Okay, should statements. When people find themselves thinking in terms of what should and ought to be said or done, it's possible that a cognitive distortion is at work. It's rarely helpful to chastise yourself with what you should be able to do in a given situation. Should and ought statements are often used by the thinker to take on a negative view of their life. These types of thoughts are often rooted in internalized family or cultural expectations, which might not be appropriate for an individual. Such thoughts can diminish your self esteem and raise anxiety levels. All right, I'm going to let that for 1 second. I'll be right All right, all right. Let's finish up. Let's finish up. So, like I said, I wanted that to sink in. The should statements, what you should be doing, what you ought to be doing, and it says that's basically rooted in, internalized family or culture expectations. So there's that. All right. The next one is emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning is a false belief that your emotions are the truth, that the way you feel about a situation is a reliable indicator of reality. For example, why it's important to listen to, validate, and express your emotions. It's equally important to judge reality based on rational evidence. So, for example, just because, let's see, I'm trying to give you a good example. So I'll say, okay, so I'm located in South Florida. It's, if anybody knows, most of the times it's beautiful here. I moved here for the beautiful weather. I hate cold, right? So when it rains, it actually, I could say, right? Oh, this rain just makes me sad. It makes everyone sad. When it rains, it just totally it just totally ruins the day. It's it makes everyone sad. Okay, so I don't know if that's quite a good explanation, but basically, because I'm thinking with my emotions, it's making me sad because it's raining. I automatically now I'm saying that okay, it rain makes people sad, but just because it's making me sad, or just because I have experienced that, that doesn't make it fat across the board. Because I'm thinking with my emotions, I'm saying, okay, this makes me sad. Therefore, it makes everyone sad. So that doesn't make it reality. Just because I feel that it's making me sad, that does not necessarily means it apply to everyone else. Uh I would have to make sure this is actually reality. For example, I'm thinking that way, but what if I want to ask my husband, honey, are you feeling sad because it's raining? And he says no. So that strikes me down right away, right? Because that means everyone doesn't feel that way. I only feel that way. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so it says researchers have found that emotional reasoning is common. It's a common cognitive distortion, and we might have to go into that one a little more at a later date. It's a pattern of thinking that's used by people with and without anxiety or depression. Okay. So the next one is going to be labeling. Labeling is a cognitive distortion in which people reduce themselves or other people to a single, and it's going to usually be negative, characteristic or descriptor, like drunk or failure. When people label, they define themselves and others based on a single event of behavior. Labeling can cause people to berate themselves. It can also cause the thinker to misunderstand or underestimate others, right? So, this misperception can cause real problems between people. No one wants to have a label. Oh, so that's kind of self-explanatory. And if you are taking part in this, because every time I present something to someone, I always like to assign homework, because homework, it's not the traditional way of looking at homework, but it's more like, okay, let me get involved. Let me dig deeper so I can find out more information about a situation, about a subject, right? So, and you'll be surprised that even though you were looking at a certain thing, you're gonna find out even more research on other things as well. So I'm saying that to say this: if you're looking at this live, or whenever you finally catch it, this is your homework assignment. I want you to look up more information on labeling, right? And if you have been doing labeling, stop it, especially if you're doing it to yourself. For example, I know a lot of people loves to say, "Oh, I'm a failure. I'm a failure. I felt it this. I felt it this," or just it could be anything that's negative. Cut it out, okay? And also go do some research about it. All right. Daughter just called me. Hold on, hold on. I'm gonna see. Let me see. Can I invite someone? Let me stop sharing this. I'm gonna invite someone to my live. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can get a guest on here. Sorry, y'all. Hold on. I never did this before. I'm gonna see if I can invite someone here. Let me see. So, all right. Let me see. Okay, I think I have a guest that wants to come on. Let me see. I never invited anyone before. Let me stop sharing this. I never invited anyone before. All right, let's see. Hold on. Again. I'm just trying to send this link. Like I said, this is my first time inviting somebody, so I don't know. All right. My grandbaby was calling me. She wanted me to. She wanted to show me her new clothes that grandma bought for her. Okay, let me go back. All right, so let's go back to our conversation. We might have a guest here in a second. I'm not sure. I sent them the link, so we'll see if they. I sent them the link, so we'll see if they are able to join. All right, but until then, let me go back to my conversation. Okay, let me share my screen, and we're almost done. Like I said, I'm not going to have you all here all day today. All right, so let me go back to sharing this. We left off on labels, and it says the. So that's your homework. I want you to look up more about what labeling is, and so once you look up what labeling is, I want you to ask yourself, have you been to yourself or to others? So I want you to start to look at ways you can stop that, because who wants to have a label? Like we are all pretty much complex individuals, right? We're not just one thing. Or we might be this way today and we might be a totally different way tomorrow. Not saying that we're fake or anything, it's just that we are complex, because there's a lot of dynamics that can play in a part, right? For example, today I'm feeling good. It's sunny outside. Let's say tomorrow, if it was raining, it might cause me not to be feel as chipper as I was the day before because it's raining outside. Not saying that I'm a whole different person. It's just that today it's raining, so when it rains, sometimes it causes me not to be as chipper as when it's so it causes me not to be as chipper as when it's not raining, if that makes sense. So just putting one label on a person saying, okay, or on yourself saying I'm a failure, or that person is a failure, or that person is a drunk. But yeah, they might drink sometimes, but just saying that, okay, this person is a drunk, right? That's not fair, because um you're defining yourself on something based on a single event or behavior. Okay, so now it says, how can you manage these events? These events I'm going to show you now. Go to my website. My website is devalierconsultingservices.com, right? There you can book a free consultation, 30-minute consultation. We can talk all about, what is your interpretation of therapy, right? What are you seeking in therapy? What do you want to work on about yourself? We can talk about all those type of things within this 30-minute time frame. And then if you decide at that time that you want to you know s- schedule for individualized therapy, you will also be able to do that at that time. And the 30-minute free consultation is not required. I just offer that because I want, you to be feel comfortable if you're coming through receiving services through our company. So it's not required. You can go straight and just book the appointment for an hour long. And just keep in mind our services are 100% confident. Well, let me back up. It's not 100% confidential, but the only reason I say that is because if you come to me receiving therapeutic services and you tell me, well, I just needed to share this with somebody, but I'm planning on killing a couple people today. No. I'm telling. I'm letting you know that now. I'm telling. And I'm not telling just because I'm a telltale, but it's just part of our ethics. We have to say something. So that's one reason that I would actually break confidentiality if you told me you were gonna harm yourself or harm someone else. But other than that, our sessions are 100% private and confidential. So you do have that safe space to just be yourself, let, process maybe some irrational thoughts that have been going on in your mind. And no irrational thought is too big for me. I accept the challenge. So um, thank you all so much for tuning in to my presentation on cognitive distortions. I hope that you have learned something. That's my hopes, just to, provide this education to the community in hopes of um, just learning a thing or two. But this does not replace, I just want to let you know this too. This does not replace professional consult. So you would still want to talk to a therapist, even if it's not me. If you feel that you are going through some of the things that I mentioned on these lives, please reach out to someone. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to do things alone. Most companies these days do offer mental health services. So a lot of companies are offering that with insurance packages these days. So, and if you were to come to me, I know, I forgot what my price is, but if you came to me and say, well, that's a little too steep, I do have a percentage where I am able to work on a sliding scale. So if at any time you feel that cost is a factor and you're not seeking services, just reach out to me. We can discuss that as well. So with that being said, I'm gonna let you all go and enjoy this beautiful Sunday. I'm going to go get my nails done. I cannot wait. And it was nice talking to y'all once again. It's hold on. Once again, it's your favorite therapist, Lily Duvet. And I'll see you all the next time. Bye bye.